featuring Mike Houston, .1080 Princeton, Eric Hayes, and your host, Marcello Lukes.
Welcome to Princeton Tonight. I'm your host, Marcello Lukes, and this is our November episode. We're so excited to be airing for the first time on Princeton Community TV. You can catch us every Thursday night at 8 p.m., and tonight we've got a great show for you all. Thanksgiving has just passed, and we've officially started the holiday season, so we have an all-new Thanksgiving-themed sketch and an on-the-street comedy segment. Plus, Paul Shorn will review the new film Loving on screen at the Garden Theater. But this month's show is especially exciting because we're going to give you a personal introduction to some of our partner organizations here on Princeton's campus. You'll hear from the leaders of 1080 Princeton, Princeton Film Productions, and other filmmakers in the area, and get to screen some of their content alongside Princeton Tonight's original work from this month. But first, we're so excited to introduce our guest on tonight's episode. He's a film and theater actor and producer who's appeared on the popular television shows Orange is the New Black at Inciting Amy Schumer. Please welcome Mike Houston. Mike, it's great to have you here. Thanks for coming on the show.
This is great, man.
Yeah, so Mike, you're on Orange is the New Black, which is a beloved television show on Netflix. Tell us a little bit about this third season and your work as Lee Dixon.
Well, I mean, it was a fascinating experience, considering the number of seasons that have come before it, and the guards that I joined were kind of a new crop that came in, and so it was a really fascinating experience to work with the ensemble as these new people, specifically in our capacity. That when we come in, we shake it up a little bit in terms of what was beginning to feel like the norm. The relationships between guard and prisoner, and when we came in, is a lot of us play former vets that come in and use our authority willingly and without a lot of oversight. So it was a really, really fascinating experience to be part of that season, and the love that season got. Right. Because I think it was definitely one of the more dangerous of the 4 seasons we've done. There's a lot more danger. I think there was a message in this season specifically that Genji Cohen, who created the show, really drove home in terms of what we as a society are kind of seeing in our system with Black Lives Matter movement, the privatizing of prisons, things of that nature. So it was really, really fascinating experience.
Yeah, and your acting hasn't just been limited to Orange is the New Black. You're currently acting in a short play right now called Lucas and Molly. Yeah. How has that experience been for you so far?
It's been awesome. Yeah. Lucas and Molly is a play that was written by a guy named Greg DePaul, who writes he writes different plays, and we've published different plays for him for my company, The Collective. And Greg's actually a screenwriter as well. He wrote Bride Wars and Saving Silverman were 2 of his screenplays. And so working on this short play has been a really incredible experience. It's directed by Richard Mazur. And that's just been an awesome experience. Nina Mehta plays my wife, Molly. It's a very dark comedy. And it's just been a really cool, I mean, theater's just a totally different ballgame altogether. Right. So, and just an opportunity to get out there and put yourself on a stage. And
well, you mentioned The Collective. Yeah. So that's something that you started and is going, it's currently, can you explain a little bit about what The Collective is and your work so far? I know that you have other things planned with it as well.
Yeah. The Collective is a group of artists that we came together back in 2007 to create this home for artists with our main mission providing theater and art as accessible as breathing is kind of one of our taglines. We really believe that it's something to be taken in without fear of cost or anything of that nature. We want people to see what we do, whether or not you can afford to come see it or not. And we do that through different systems. We have a donation program called the No Empty Seats campaign. We give away half the seats to everything we do. And it allows anybody at any time to come see. We'd rather have full house and less, not worry about the financial rather than have one empty seat in the House.
That's
so we do that, and I did that. I'm one of the founding members, along with a number of different actors. We have 9 total permanent ensemble members, including Khalil Mohammed, who has done this show, and and Amy Schumer is one of the members as well.
And so your work with Amy Schumer, you were in a sketch that was the Inciting Amy Schumer 12 Angry Men sketch, and that actually won an Emmy, if I'm for directing. That's a hilarious sketch. You want to talk a little bit about working on that with such talent, an incredible group of actors.
I've done a lot of shows and movies, and those are 2 days we worked on that, and I couldn't stop pinching myself.
Right.
And it's funny because I begged to be there. I didn't even. I said to the producers, I said, I don't even care if I'm in the sketch. Can I just come and watch? I just want to watch these actors, And then they were so kind to give me the opportunity to play the guard and to watch it be done shot for shot, And I'm a huge fan of that film, and just to see how Amy and Ryan McFall, who co-directed with her, like how they did that was incredible. And again, John Hawkes and Paul Giamatti. I mean, it was just dream come true.
As I was watching it, as every person came on the screen, I was like, oh wow, this is an absolutely incredible sketch. And I want to come back to something that we actually talked about before we started filming this, and that was your recent activism and realizations about what is important to you and what is important to society. I was wondering if you wanted to talk a little bit about that in terms of the current political climate.
No, I'm glad we chatted a little bit about that, because it's something that's very new for me, and it's always been something I love to do, is act. I've always wanted to be a performer, whether it's singing, acting, dancing, any of that stuff. I just love doing it, and for the last 10 to 15 years, and what we've been able to do, you have a focus, and it's to, I want to work on my career, and I want to work on this company, and just put out good work. And then, what we've seen in the last 2 years, I think, is really kind of awakened a lot of people to something new, which is, specifically for me, understanding what art is in terms of what its place in society is for. And I've always known and heard, it's there to stir up. It's there for a reason. It's there to get people to think, but more so now than I'd ever thought before is, our place in the world in terms of mirroring what's happening in your world. Because if you're truthful in that moment, and again, on all sides of it, it's amazing what people take away from it when they see themselves in a mirror. And so the idea of using the opportunity as actors to tell stories that challenge the status quo, and it's been, there was a quote I just saw recently, and I can't think of it right now, but it centered around, we're supposed to make you uncomfortable. If it makes you uncomfortable, right, you're doing the right thing.
Right.
It's supposed to make you uncomfortable. You're not supposed to be comfortable in that situation.
Right.
And the whole thing that happened with Hamilton, was a fascinating example of that. And there's been a big debate about whether it's the right venue or not. And for me, it's absolutely the right venue. That is the venue to take those opportunities, because again, our job is to mirror what's happening in our world. And if we're doing our job and we're staying true to our job and to who we are in those circumstances, it's virtually impossible to not see something, that maybe you didn't think about before. It's very hard to do introspective, work. So when you take a step back and you see it, it really kind of does put things in perspective.
That's really incredible.
Yeah.
That's really incredible, and very admirable that you're doing work like that.
Well, and again, I think it was interesting. Until this happened, and I'm not trying to make it a huge deal. Elections happen, and again, it's our job just to speak what's happening. Speak to what's happening. And so we did it, and I'm very proud of how we've all come together to present this work, just to let people know that there's a voice out there, that are fighting for what they believe in.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You have so much going on. You're doing a lot of projects.
Yeah, I'm
You're
trying
doing
to
a lot
stay
of
busy.
projects.
Yeah.
And that's really incredible. And thank you so much for coming on the show and chatting with us for a bit. I believe that Mike's latest show, Lucas and Molly, that's what it's called. You can buy tickets for it. It opens on December 7th.
December 7th, and it runs to the 10th, yep.
Okay, that's 3 nights. It's going to be intense. It's going to be dark. It's going to make you laugh. You can get tickets at thecollective-newyork.org.
Yep.
And you can check out Mike Houston as Lee Dixon in the show Orange is the New Black anytime on Netflix. We'll be right back with an all-new sketch on Princeton Tonight. Thanks so much for coming, Mike.
Hey, thanks, Marcello.
Thanks.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm undocumented and I'm proud because despite being displaced and oppressed, today I stand with my dignity in hand. America, you haven't broken me and you will not break my people.
The people united shall never be divided. The people united shall never be divided.
Okay, chant leader. Does anyone want to be a chant leader? Did you write the first sentence?
Mark is not doing so
Did you write
well
that
anymore.
paragraph?
We're both members of Princeton Dream Team, which is the student-led immigrant rights advocacy group.
We are organizing a protest and a walkout in order to have call to action to the university so they can protect undocumented students on campus. It's a reality that we're facing after Trump's election, that the policies will greatly affect their livelihoods and, more importantly, the families that we have back home. And that's what we call an institution, to take a stance and to ensure that we feel welcome here and that they know that current students and future students can come here and know that there's a safe space here for them.
I stand among you in this crowd, and I hope that the words I leave you with today will motivate you to take action and protect not just undocumented students at Princeton, but also the 11 million others in this country who are currently facing the fear of an administration that has spewed hatred and threats of deportation.
No human being is illegal. 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 No human being is illegal.
What do we want?
Sanctuary.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Sanctuary.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Sanctuary.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Sanctuary.
When do we want it?
Now.
Although I don't necessarily agree with all of his policies, the vision that Trump's outlined, the people that he has picked to work with him currently, the people who he wants to serve on the Supreme Court and serve in his cabinet positions, is a beneficial position for all Americans. After the November election, I'll be supporting the GOP candidate, Donald Trump. Best thing about Trump? I'd say ultimately it's the unified vision, which unfortunately doesn't come out all the way in some scenarios, but the ideal of putting Americans first, putting the country's best interest so that all the people of this country can see a better, brighter future. A facet of Trump that I don't like as much is, unfortunately, he does have the tendency to alienate certain groups. That being said, that's an unfortunate reality that we have going on right now. Hillary Clinton called me a deplorable, and her campaign manager wrote off Catholics. They pushed Bernie Sanders out. So would I say that there are a lot of Trump supporters on this campus? Not necessarily a lot. I would say that there are probably many more supporters than are willing to speak up. People say that this campus is very open and accepting, and I have to completely agree with that. Of course, you get a few looks from time to time, but really that's just a great opportunity. Like the other night, you'll have the debate watch parties, and I'll go in with the button there, maybe even the hat. That usually gets people a little stirred up. But it's a fantastic opportunity because you can then greet them with a smile, a handshake, and really dispel any of those negative stereotypes that are being supported.
everyone, it's Rachel from Princeton Tonight. It's Thanksgiving time, which means people all across the country will be spending a lot of time with family this month. We went out on the street to hear a little more about people's crazy and unique family stories.
The Baby Cousin Rawlings, you know that song that's like, watch me whip, watch me nay-nay?
I know it well.
We were
all the time.
We were praying at the dinner table, and he put it on, and it was like, now watch me whip, and he started dancing, and everyone was like, what?
Amen.
My lovely aunt, we all love her to death. Sometimes she will come to Thanksgiving dressed in a turkey suit, a homemade turkey suit. I don't know what possesses her to do such a thing, but it's happened.
My grandma's German Shepherd stole the turkey once. Like, jumped up on the counter and just took the whole thing.
Were you all just like standing around watching it happen?
Well, no, everyone like chased him, but I didn't care because I'm a vegetarian, so it was fine.
I can remember one Thanksgiving when my grandfather was still alive. He was remarried, and they were with her family because she was a divorcee. And let's just say we didn't get along terribly well with her, and we discussed how much it would be to hire someone to take care of the situation during Thanksgiving dinner. So there was that quite a few years ago.
One Thanksgiving when I was really little, we went to my aunt's horse ranch, and I was like really tiny, so I fell into the horse poop and they couldn't find me because I was so submersed in it. So, yep. So
I'm glad you made it out okay. Uncle Thomas? I'm hearing Uncle Thomas.
Uncle Thomas.
Let's hear about Uncle Thomas.
He's crazy. He's a grown man, and he's on the swim team, and he made me shave his back on one Thanksgiving, and it was interesting.
Earlier on, we used to have this tradition where the first person to fall asleep at Thanksgiving dinner, they would get corked. So we would take the wine bottle corks, put them on the stove, get them to burn a little bit, and their whole face would get corked, and they wouldn't know it, but everybody else would.
Oh my God, that is brutal.
This one is about my mom. Well, it was before I was born. They were at the mall, and when they were driving in, I think they cut off the truck driver, and the truck driver got really mad and went and parked inside of the mall and got out and started chasing my mom and her friend with a crowbar.
Mommy got chased with a crowbar? Yep. I don't know that one, but we'll have to go home and ask Mommy about that one because I don't know that one.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Hey guys, welcome back to Princeton Tonight. I'm your host, Marcello. For those of you who watched our Season 2 premiere episode, you'll remember the film Image from Princeton University graduate Stephen Cook. Now, Stephen made that film in collaboration with PFP, Princeton Film Productions, and I have the chance right now to sit down with the president of PFP, Eric Hayes, who's just come out with an incredible new film, The Observer Effect. Now, Eric, I hear that this film has a lot of interesting things in it. It has time travel. It presented a way of challenges. Now, you want to tell us a little bit about your film?
Yeah, so The Observer Effect is a 40-minute long film that I made through PFP over the last year and a half, and it featured 80 different cast and crew members and an original soundtrack composed by this orchestra, or performed by this orchestra in Budapest. And we really wanted to take advantage of the resources that exist at the university, all the passionate people around us, and to just give momentum to filmmaking at Princeton.
That's lovely. And I'm sure that being a student at Princeton University and trying to make a film was very challenging, but I hear that there were also some challenges with the cast and crew and filming constraints, especially one involving a cast member who wasn't prepared for a particular scene.
Right, so a lot of the film was filmed in these really short bursts of time to try and be efficient about it, but that meant we didn't have a whole lot of time for rehearsal. So there was one scene in particular that involved Jared, who plays the lead character, biking furiously down this narrow path on campus. And the lighting was perfect, we were all set up and ready to go, the camera was down low, ready for the shot, and we did a take, and it turns out that Jared had never learned how to ride a bike. So you can imagine how that went right off the bat. So we did about 20 takes, and sure enough, by the end of it, he figured it out.
Wow, well, I'm glad that he knows how to ride a bike now.
He does now, yeah, thanks to me.
Yeah, of course. Well, Eric, we are very excited to see what more projects you have coming in the future, and we're going to show a brief, a trailer for the Observer Effect now, and we'll be right back with Princeton Tonight right after that. Thanks, Eric.
David, you sound as though you believe your own argument, but it's flimsy. Are you familiar with Dr. Bell? He's in need of a new lab assistant, and we've spoken about the possibility of some extra credit.
We're still aspiring to...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Finance makes the most sense, I think.
How are ya?
God, I hate that guy. David.
Sarah.
Do you play pool, Sarah?
What exactly do you do around here?
We put probabilities to the test.
You can do this, Carl. You are a strong, smart dude. You are their superior. Just look him in the eye and tell it to him straight. All right, guys. As you know, your mom's out of town this weekend, and she left me in charge. Obviously, she left me in charge. Of course she did. Come on, Carl, get it together. Look, kids, there comes a time in your life when...
Really, Carl, we do not need to talk right now.
Come on, Dad, I just ate. No, hang on. This is important. So sit down and listen up. Right. Your mother and I waited as long as we could to tell you about this because you were too young and you wouldn't understand. But when a man and a woman really love each other, they get married. And then they have to spend every Thanksgiving with each other's interesting relatives.
Is that a Pictionary set?
This year, you guys won't be at the kids' table anymore. So it's time to put down your crayons and prepare yourself for the truth, because the adult table is no joke.
You act like we're going to war.
We are, sweetheart, so get ready.
Aw, Grandma and Grandpa are so adorable.
April, focus. They might look cute and harmless, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows with them. You're gonna hear them refer to those people a lot.
So Carl and I just got these new landscapers. They're amazing. They had to dig up the whole yard. It was such a mess for a while, but now it looks really, really good.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad they worked out better than the last ones.
Well, it's not so surprising.
What do you mean, Mom?
Well, those people are used to digging.
Mother!
Now, those people are just people, like you and I. Just because they look different doesn't mean anything. Like apples and oranges, right? Look different, but they're both fruit.
Then why did Grandma and Grandpa call them those people?
Well, Bud, Grandpa was born in a different time, and he may mock me because your mother makes more money than I do, but I want you to know that in this day and age, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
How much more does she make?
Moving on to threat number 2, this is your Aunt Tricia.
She always gives us the coolest presents.
Again, guys, focus. Tricia will be drinking left and right. She may even offer you some. Don't even think about it. Now, where does Aunt Tricia usually end up on Thanksgiving night?
The bathtub.
Exactly. And this year, you guys are old enough to be part of the plan. We need to safely corral Aunt Tricia to the bathroom after 4 drinks, before she starts making out with the next door neighbor.
I can keep Mr. Sneepy away from her. That guy's a total dweeb. You mention the word insects and he'll go on about it forever.
Don't worry, Dad. We won't let you down.
You know, Simon, if you were a cookie, I'd eat you right up.
Well, that's very kind of you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Commence phase 1. Over.
Eyes on Buzzed and Bagworm, commencing phase 1. Mr. Sneepy, I'm fascinated by insects, and I know you're a bug enthusiast yourself. I was wondering if you could show me some.
Oh yeah,
outside.
well, yes, of course. So bagworms are particularly predominant in November, and the cool thing about bagworms.
Molly.
Yes, you both know your sister, Molly. She's all a father could ask for. But the problem isn't Molly, it's her new boyfriend, Max. He's going to be pulling out all the stops to try to lock in my vote, but I ain't buying it. Keep him away from me at all costs.
What are his interests?
I don't know, I never met the guy. The one I imagine in my head, though, plays the electric guitar and has Green Day lyrics tattooed on his arm.
I'm never gonna get a boyfriend.
Never. Now, Max, the boyfriend, is from Argentina, so we should probably keep him away from the grandparents. Although, on second thought, maybe they will send him running for the hills. No. On third thought...
Dad, stop. Focus.
I can't believe I forgot part 2 upstairs. I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paul Shoren of Princeton Tonight here at the Garden Theater in Princeton, New Jersey, and today we're talking about Loving, directed by Jeff Nichols. The line that emerged from this film during promotion was Joel Edgerton's weary plea, "Tell them that I love my wife." And for much of the film, it seems as though that's all there is to Loving, a love story with a division between its lovers already understood and pre-packaged before the film even begins, the idea that love is the only thing that matters. Yet there is more to Loving than that. The film chronicles the events surrounding the landmark 1967 Loving versus the State of Virginia case, when the Supreme Court deemed laws against interracial marriage were unconstitutional. We were allowed to follow the Lovings, Richard and Mildred, portrayed by Edgerton and Ruth Negga, and their growing family as they struggle to find happiness amidst racial and legal turmoil that pretty much overwhelms their life. The most interesting theme that emerges in the film is not just the love that's part of the main narrative, but the resistance to symbolism and the tension between those narratives. The resistance to symbolism is a sort of meta-narrative that many historical dramas avoid as their primary conceit, turning a historical figure or event or set of those things into a symbol of some ideology. There was a reluctance to allow the Lovings to be turned into some larger-than-life force of marriage equality. What matters most is their love. The film must, of course, have meaning, yet its acknowledgments of the conceits of the genre demonstrate a subtle but important knot in the norm from writer-director Jeff Nichols. I've mentioned Nichols a few times now. He's one of my favorite directors working today. You have Mud, which is the McConaughey smash hit in the indie circuit, Midnight Special, and Take Shelter, all spectacular. Good things and bad things from the Nichols canon lurk in Loving. The good appears in his visual presentations of scenes of conflict. He has a particularly good eye for that. The motifs of the house building, and the fabulous scene when the magazine photographer comes to the Loving home to see what their day-to-day life is like. That scene in particular subverts the sensationalism glorification of biopic filmmaking. Now, the biggest bads lie in the occasional dips in quality and pacing that occur especially near the middle, as well as the casting of some of the supporting roles, which I'm going to continue to talk about. Now, Michael Shannon, also a great actor, is one of the muses of Mr. Nichols, and why not? He's the man, except when he's a pain in the neck, like in Man of Steel, when he was Zod and his neck snapped. But his photographer character in that great magazine scene feels kind of out of place. I feel that Nichols wanted to slip Shannon in, but again, it doesn't really work out for the cast to have someone so big name just under the surface. Some other supporting actors are also somewhat distracting. Nick Kroll is a good choice for the lawyer Bernard Cohen, but it's strange seeing a comedian in such a dramatic role, especially not in the role of explicit comic relief, such as Louis C.K. in American Hustle. He's okay, even if he can't pull off his accent very convincingly. Martin Sokas is also strangely cast because every role he takes on becomes overdone and over the top. He threatened to put the sheriff character into caricature territory, which would have been awful for the film. Still, the lead performances are refreshingly restrained, the opposite of a Sokas. These really aren't the sort of performances that I think will win Oscars, but one of them will probably be nominated depending on what happens in the coming months. But they are steady, strong-willed, nuanced performances that do their best to overcome any title of mere symbol on them. Richard's beleaguered wariness earns a curious sort of focus for a biopic. Somehow it works, though, because Edgerton can really capture that burden to every man that the husband loving is supposed to be. Loving, overall, is an excellent film with a lot to say about history made in the everyday and the way that African American women are treated treated in society then and today. Loving is certainly worth your time. It's sweet but not saccharine, a thorough meditation on the unintentional lawlessness of love. I'm Paul Shore at the Princeton Garden Theater. Have a great day.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this Season 2, Episode 2 of Princeton Tonight. It's been a real pleasure having you guys take a look at the show. Now, on a different note, I realize that it is a month after Election Day, and Election Day, November 8th, was a difficult moment for many Americans and for many people across the world as we grapple and come to terms with a lot of changing factors in our lives and a lot of changing realities. Now, I am an idealistic 19-year-old, and so those of you maybe 30 years older than me may be wondering, well, what does this kid have to say? But I think that being a college student puts us in it puts me in a unique position to say, well, we really have an opportunity here. We have an opportunity to really get involved on a civic level and really change the situation that our country is in and the situation of millions of those around us. So for those of you wondering, well, how do I get involved? Is there any hope? And I say, yes, of course there is. Get involved with your representatives. Join a movement, advocate on behalf of people that you care about and the people you love. Engage in productive conversations with people who have different opinions than the ones that you hold, because only through that dialogue, through that engagement, through that activism, can we really come together in our communities, make our communities better places, make our country a better place, and ultimately, as corny and cliche as it sounds, really change the world for the better. Now, thank you so much for watching this month's episode of Princeton Tonight. I'm Marcello. See you next time.